Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to see if we can make this streaming thing work from the laptop. And today, we're going to be working on the Norman Church. And it's going to be hard for me to keep an eye on the chat. So if anybody's out there and actually watching the chat, I'm going to try to keep remembering to check it back and forth. But for right now, we've got a little bit of problems because I have one screen. So it's going to be a little bit crowded on here. So my apologies for that. And also, this is a laptop, so we've got some constrained resources, but this is a bit of an experiment, so thank you for bearing with me. I've lost my desktop computer, which is the one that I usually stream from, so I'm constrained to the laptop now. And because of silicon shortage and things like that, I doubt I'll be getting a replacement desktop anytime soon. So if this doesn't quite work, then that's fine, and we can give streaming a break until next year. Who knows? Anyway, let's see what we can do. So this morning, we're looking at the parish church again, of course, and I'd like to be able to show you tons and tons of progress, but I don't have it. It's been a rough ride these past week or two, so here we are. So the next phase we're at is we've got the Roman phase mainly roughed out, mainly nailed down, and we're looking at this Norman phase, and this has been causing a lot of trouble for me because I'm not 100% certain of what I do with this phase. So we have the model here in front of us, and it's a nice little, cute little model. We can see that part of the tower is grayed out, and that's part of the tower that will survive. It's already in the game essentially, so it will survive a time travel change back to this period. So I don't need to import these portions of it, but I do need to import the rest. Now the problem is how is the user going to encounter this period, and what can they do in it? So originally, I had an idea of kind of having a third act twist going on, and that was interesting to have kind of a third act twist going on with this portion of the building. I have been kind of dreading trying to implement this third act twist in code and also visually. So this model can interfere with the timeline that the player has created before they get to this point, because the player won't get to this point for a little while in the game. And once they kind of encounter this, it's going to split the timeline into two different competing interpretations, we should say. And the player needs to choose which interpretation of the timeline they want to go forward with, which sounds like a cool idea, but it's actually really hard to represent. So I'm trying to figure out how to represent it visually. So usually when we have overlapping portions of the timeline, we visualize that with that kind of portal effect in the game, in which a little portal opens in the middle and you can see the timeline you're about, or the point in time you're about to travel to, and you can see the point of time you're in. They're kind of overlapped at the same time. For a conflict, I wanted to kind of show that you actually had two interpretations in conflict with each other, fighting with each other. So they're really overlapping not only in time, but they're overlapping in the same, well, they're at the same place in the same time. So rather than being two periods at the same time, we have two times at the same time. So how do we show that visually on screen? I have no idea how we show that visually. I kind of was thinking about some sort of glitch effect where we would kind of transition back and forth between the two options. I had something where we split the screen and we see the two options kind of overlapping each other, but I want to have something in conflict. And you split the screen and you start to run into other rendering problems that I don't really care to deal with at this time. So I don't know still. My shoulders are shrugged here. I don't know what to do with this. The other thing is how does the player encounter this? And again, I'm not quite sure what that means either. So when the player comes to build this, how are they going to build this up? Essentially, the main thing that they're going to find that's different is the apse, is the east end of the building. And what do we do? Do we show them building this? If the thing is finished already and the player doesn't have to rebuild anything, then what is there even for the player to do in this period? So this one ends up being kind of a really complicated part, and I probably need to just sort of kill my darlings, to use a writerly term, and get rid of the third act twist mechanic. I think it's just too abstract and too complicated to communicate. So at this point, then, what do we show of the building? And again, that's a really good question, and I don't 100% know. The other thing I would like to have shown is that the apse of this building is kind of composed out of the pieces of the Roman temple tomb, if you had a Roman temple tomb, but not every player will get that in their playthrough. So, again, what are we going to do about that? I don't really know. So, yeah, here we are. And I've been sitting here thinking, I don't know. It's because any alternative is going to be difficult. So our three options are, our two options are is that we do nothing and the player just encounters this pre-built, at which point, what is there to do during this time period? And maybe there isn't anything to do right now. Second option is that the player is able to rebuild a portion of this in some way. So I'm thinking of the apse in some way. And then that triggers the kind of conflict in interpretations, and I don't quite know how to show that on screen. And the third option is that the player just rebuilds this, everything's great, and we move forward. But I don't really know how to rebuild it other than just the same old, break it down into individual pieces and kind of have it rise from the ground from nothing, which is maybe good enough. So I'm trying to think about what this period is. Either this period is like a pivotal moment in this portion of the game, or it's nothing but a footnote. So anyway, there's the big question. So I think the thing I'm going to do for now, so that I have an illusion of progress today, because I haven't really made any progress all week and it's getting frustrating. So an illusion of progress for today is, let's go ahead and fracture this thing up, and then, but just this portion of the building, just the apse and just its walls. We won't worry about the roof. Let's fracture the apse up, and then let's leave this as a kind of a shader-based rebuild, one of the ones that rebuilds by polygon instead of individual piece. So that seems something that's achievable in the next 20 minutes or half an hour. And then I'll think about it some more. So what this would do would provide an opportunity for the player to... Sorry, just having another thought here. This would provide an opportunity for the player to do something, and then when this is rebuilt, that can trigger an event or something going on. I need to think about sort of in terms of what's adjacent to this. Since it's a church, it is kind of sitting on its own in a churchyard. But what is kind of adjacent? What else is going on here? What can provide a sense of interaction or meaningful significance here? And the answer is, I don't really know. But let's do something. So let's do something. Let's do anything. Let's grab this one and let's break this into pieces so that we can at least feel like we've done something today. So I'm going to grab that, copy it out, solo this one out so that we're just working on this one. And let's go forward with that. Okay. So let's just throw a Voronoi fracture on this right now. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this pivot because I've been having more trouble with pivots as I rebuild. Another problem is that when I Voronoi fracture this, all of these corbels are going to they're going to become their own pieces. It's going to be a huge pain. Ugh. Okay. The other thought I was having is that I want to show not everything in a state of destruction. when the user can rebuild it. I would like to show something in a state of actually being built, and you can kind of finish them do their build, which would be really cool, right? Turns out it's going to be really, really difficult. But maybe we cheat this one a little bit, and we have the beginnings of the building being built, and then so let's maybe kind of cut that out, and then we'll sort of set dress the scene and have some scaffold and that sort of stuff up. And then when you click on the not ruins but the newly built portion, the half built portion, the rest of it will complete. And there's a satisfying way to do that and a cheat way to do it. Let's cheat. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just start cutting this down. And we're going to make a kind of nice zigzaggy effect just to suggest that something is half complete. I mean, it'll look like it's half ruined, but if we at some later point create some scaffold and some building site, construction site materials around, that might give the clue that this is not actually destroyed, that it's being built. That might be the best thing to do, and it would provide a wee bit of interest to this period. So let's go on. So hang on just a minute. Just had a little visit there from someone, so sorry about that silence. All right, so let's see what we're gonna do here. Yeah, let's cut this thing up. So I'm gonna start cutting from here. We're not gonna deal with the corbel table. We'll just start working with this portion, and maybe let's work on it up to its string course. Let's leave the string in place, just to give an idea of this being some sort of orderly reconstruction. So let's look at this. What's the polygons look like in here? They look pretty good. That flows pretty clean. Why do I have that break there? That's interesting. I don't really need that break, but that's okay. I'm thinking of this little break right here. It's not a big deal. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a really simple one, and then we're just going to select these right here. Make sure I get the under, top, below. There we go. I knew I was going to miss some. And let's grab that one as well. And I think that's all I want for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some knife cuts in this and just kind of zigzag it down from the string course. And then we'll have to do some cleanup and stuff like that, because obviously this is hollow on the inside. And I can't just do a nice Voronoi fracture for that. So let's jump into some sort of side view. At least it feels like I'm pretending like I'm getting something done here today. Okay, let's start cutting this. Let's see. Let's actually do, well, should we do a line cut, or let's do a line cut, yeah. Just a regular old line cut. We don't want to cut the visible, we want to cut everything. We're just going to do something really simple just to represent, rather than, in my mind, I already have like a double skin of masonry idea. That seems kind of stupid. So let's restrict it to selection. And let's give it a shot here. Let's see what we can do. So let's see if we can actually snap our cutting to anything. So let's take this along here, snap it to an edge. Yep, that's fine. I don't need that one at all. Let's try again. You'll see why here in a minute, because I wanted to keep the string course. Okay, so let's go about this far over, and then we're just going to zigzag it down. So we'll keep the string like I said. And now let's do some Norman buildings. They're interesting in that they're built of lots of little courses, but we're not even going to work on that. We're just going to zigzag this thing down here. Just step it down. I feel like Bob Ross here. And let's go right to there. And then I'm going to peel this one off here. All right. Okay, at least that put a cut through the building, so thank goodness. Let's see how far we actually got that cut through. Did it actually go through both sides? Yes, it did. That's good. It looks like I've only kept the inner string course because I was misinterpreting what I was seeing. That's fine. So let's leave it like that. And then we have a little bit of an idea that they kind of laid out a foundation here. Good. Did that cut go all the way through this polygon? No, of course not. Why would it do that? So let's go ahead and select. Just interested if I've duplicated any geometry here. I don't think I have. So let's go ahead and select this. And let's do another cut. And we've got it restricted to our selection now, so this should be easier to cut. So we'll just go from this to that. There we go. And I don't think I've projected that cut through the rest of the geometry. No, good. All right, marvelous. So let's go back in and grab all of these. Okay, and I'm going to split this out right now so that it's a new object, and then I'm going to get rid of the polygons I had. Okay, so this is my new object here, so we need to heal this cut up. So we'll get rid of that. So let's get rid of this. And let's start trying to, like I said, heal this cut up so that we just have a nice zigzag thing going on here. Okay. Okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? ME will do for us. Quad strip mode will do for us. We don't need to have any snapping on because we're going to snap it anyway. And when this polygon is made, it's going to be a nice orangey yellow fade, letting me know that that polygon has no vertex colors attached, which is fine. There goes the guy with his Harley this morning. Okay. So I'm just going to do every other one of these in the stair step. And really, when they were building, they wouldn't necessarily have done a stair step. They would have probably done a more keyed. So we'll build that on the other side, just for the sake of variety. And I'm not going to build any scaffolding today. We're just going to work on the building part. So now we can just fill these ones automatically. There we go. All right. Okay, so there's that one, and then we can go ahead and fill all of its polygons, which would be really nice. There we go. Okay, so that little bit is done. We need to do the same thing on the other side now. We need to do it on this. Yep. Well, do we need to do it on that? That's a good question. Why don't we hold up a minute and we think about this for a minute? I don't think we do because the player's never going to see up from the underside there. And I'm going to do a rebuild based on polygons rather than based on individual broken pieces. So, no, I don't think we do need to actually heal that hole up. I think we're pretty good. So let's go through and do this side now. And on this side, I'm going to go ahead and extract the piece before we cut it, because otherwise I'll be able to see through when I do the cuts and I'll get even more confused. And we don't want to confuse myself any more than necessary. All right, for this one, I think I've got it. There we go, that's everything I wanted. So did I get the bottom? Good question, yes I did. All right, so let's split this one out. Turn off the original, and got to build this one back up. Okay, so we're going to put a cut all the way through the wall here, and we're obviously missing a section right here. This shouldn't be too difficult to fix though. So let's select that edge. Let's give it a 0 extrusion. The old 0 edge extrude trick. Okay, and then let's jump into a sideways view. There we go. So now that is at the correct height. That's what I wanted to have. This is going to do a little bit of overlap. In the final model, I don't think that's going to matter much. So I just need to heal this up, and I don't need to do any 2D snapping. Okay, that's healed up. And let's go around the corner here. Oh, did I miss the underside? Oh my goodness. I thought I got that one. Looks like I didn't. That's okay. We're going to fill that up and we'll be fine. All right, I don't want to fill this top up, do I? No, I don't, because I'm going to split part of this off anyway. In fact, now I need to, just talking to myself here, bear with me. Just thinking about how this is going to work. I don't need to have actually healed those ends either. I just need to have filled that. Okay, let's jump into our previous wall here. Let's delete the portion that we had selected because we don't need it. We've got this overlap going on. Let's get rid of this too. So I'm going to get rid of that. So that's the only 2 pieces I want. We're going to get rid of this by doing a plane cut. So knife J for plane cut. We're going to cut everything. That's great. We're going to restrict it to the selection. Plane mode is going to be world based, and that's going to be on the XZ plane. There we go. And we're going to 3D snap to a point. No, right there. All right. That means we can get rid of those. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of the unreferenced verts in this, just clean things up as we go along. Okay. Hang on a minute. And hi, good morning, Chris. I'm glad you've been able to tune into this. This is the first time I've streamed in like 2 weeks because I lost my desktop machine, so I'm on the laptop, which is why everything's all kind of compressed in here. So I'm glad I just caught you in the chat just now. So I hope you're doing well. Hope it's not boiling hot over there in California. I gotta keep an eye on the chat now and do this. This is gonna be fun. And you're gonna be picking up some background noise as well. So hang on, there's gonna be a car starting. Hold on. Huh. Thank you for letting me know that I'm still muted. So my microphone mute button is kind of touchy, and sometimes I don't quite notice if it's actually muted or not. So thank you for noticing that. I appreciate that. Anyway, I was saying that we do still have some. What am I doing? Sorry. I think I've got a moment. Hold on just a minute. Pardon me again. Sorry, there's a bunch of stuff going on here all at once that I wasn't anticipating. I think I've found some time for us to get together and play board games, which is really, really exciting. I think it might be like as early as, let me think about this, not next week, the week after, or even next weekend, which would be great. There's the car. Hang on, I'm just gonna finish this one thing. Oh, and there's the garage door shutting now. Oh my goodness. It's just become really noisy. Okay. So, I'll just give you a quick idea of what's going on here. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Let's go read the chat. Yeah, it is a Yeti mic. It is, and so yeah, the mute button sometimes doesn't like to acknowledge that it's been pressed. Yeah. Suddenly chaos. Yeah, usually I'm streaming really early in the morning and that doesn't happen, but there's a lot of activity now. going on. Other family members have discovered that morning time is in fact a really, really productive time, and so they come out and they do their own stuff, which is cool. But sometimes I kind of forget that they might want to be doing stuff too. But anyway, yeah. So I'll DM you about when we can set up a time for some games. Oh, that would be. I'd appreciate that, and thank you. And I haven't been ignoring you. It just got kind of mad busy here. Again, summertime's always the busiest time, which is sad because it's beautiful here, but I always dislike summertime because it's so busy. So I've just about broken this up, and that makes me happy. Oh, did I break it up wrong? Hmm. Yeah. Oh well, we'll fix this. Let's think about where we're at here. Okay, I was viewing it from the wrong way, so I'm gonna fix these points here really quickly. You've been somewhat the same way too. I hear you. Well, I don't hear. I've sort of just gathered from Twitter that. Oop, wrong command. I've been just gathering from Twitter that you have been busy. You've been working on some commissions and things. The wrong ones. Silly verts. Let's pull those verts out here. Low key consistent project. Yeah. Yeah, I understand how that goes as well. I had one low key consistent project which lasted for 5 years. Um, it kind of got exhausting. Let's think about how this is going to go. I think that's good enough right there. Okay. Yeah, that works better. Oh, I think I just stretched some polygons a little bit too far. I gotta get rid of that polygon. How do I do that? It was exhausting because it was just always, because you've got this job to do, it's always kind of in the back of your mind that you've got this job to do, and so you think, well, I probably should be doing that rather than something else. um, and just kind of thinking about the same project for a while, it just kind of got exhausting. But finished it finally. Finished it finally this year, actually, which was crazy. And then it was for teaching at a university, and we actually kind of tested it with students, and it went really well. So that is a positive result. Well, let's start this one over again. That might help if I can only select the visible elements. Make Making sure I've got all the little polys under here. There we go. Goodness. This has been rough today. Okay. All right, I'm just going to heal up these cuts here. I left one in place. I didn't want to leave in place. That one. Yeah, the building block, you're right. Yeah, the building block reconstruction of buildings. It was just for cathedrals. Yeah, it was my cathedral builder project, and that one had been going on for a really long time, and it was really nice to finish it. So this is still kind of like for the game, the one I've been working on for even longer now. This one's usually less exhausting to work on. Um, Although we're getting to this point now where the game's becoming very brittle, and meaning that every time I add something new or change something around, it breaks. But that's okay. That kind of stuff happens. So yeah, this is less building block and more gamey. Making games is hard. No kidding. Um, I used to write novels as my like creative output. They're unreadable. As in like I don't think you can actually read them anymore because I might have lost the files to them. But anyway, my hobby used to be writing novels. Novels are not as difficult as making games in terms of just pure labor intensity, at least in my experience. And I don't know, I don't even remember how many I wrote, 4 or 5 of them. They were bad, but they were enjoyable to me. But games are harder, like a lot harder. But I also find them more satisfying because there's kind of a greater variety of skills involved in making games, which is kind of fun that you get to do art, you get to do code. Um, some of us get to do music, not me. Music is not my forte, unfortunately. But they are for some. It is for some. One more thing here, and this little block will be done almost. There we go. That was a long journey. All right. Yeah, the variety in games is really fun. You've kind of mentioned that one day you might like to start on your own game, which I'm fascinated by. Because to me it feels like you have a real love of systemic games, and so that's something that I really enjoy as well, but don't have any talent for actually creating myself. So I'm always interested in how people would approach that. So it seems to me like you have a game kind of in mind, but but you haven't gotten the time to be able to make a start on it. But it'd be really cool to see what it is you're thinking of. So let's see here. Oops. There we go. Got all my vert colors applied there. Okay, yeah, go make your breakfast. I've got about 15 minutes left, and I'm just going to keep kind of working on the polygons here, and then jump back in and give me a little idea of what your ideas are. Okay, I'm just going to keep babbling to myself here because I enjoy that. There we go. Preserve the pivot of the chancel because we're going to need it. There, yeah, I've got some nice beginnings there. This especially to me suggests building because of its keyed nature. So that's cool. This other one, a little less so. But I'm going to have to combine these two guys. And get rid of some superfluous tags that have come into the system here. All right, so that's back together and combined now. Good, that looks great. Let's see. Chancel, norm, apps, north. We'll call it const for construction. I'll totally forget what that means here in a second. All right. In fact, these two can be, they should be an individual object, actually. Here we go. And then we'll clean this up as well. Come on, you. There we go. And get rid of that selection set. Good. Let's do that. And let's reset our pivots. Good thing I remembered to save that pivot. Okay, I'm going to take that away, and now I'm going to break this guy up. Finally get to the shattering point. Good. Okay. Let's throw in a Voronoi fracture. All right, there it is. Yeah, we can see each of our corpals is its own little beast, but that's okay in this case. It's a hull-only type of object. Very good. That's working out fine. And we're going to make the distribution exponential. Along the negative y-axis. Ooh, looks like breakfast is made. All right. So, yeah, you got your breakfast now. Man, it's early for you. Early, I mean, I don't know if it's early for your breakfast, but kind of early in the morning. Here, I'm going to shrink this in a bit more so I can look at the chat a little bit better. So yeah, so tell me about your game thoughts. Wow. That's pretty cool. Right. Okay, so you've got actual experience more than I do, and actual training again, more than I do. So, congratulations. And you're going to kind of get back into that. But I could really see that the kind of dev programming and the music stuff would be a really natural fit. A lot of musicians I know, I think, are very, very clean thinkers. And so it seems like a really natural fit. That would be really cool. Would Alex be doing the art? That'd be cool. I'd love to see a game from the two of you because her art's fantastic and your music's great. And with your, yeah, no, no, don't worry about the lots of text. But no, it'd be fantastic to see whatever you have. But I like the idea that you got a few smaller ideas in mind. Um, that sounds even better. I tend to think I have a small idea, and then it turns into something that takes 10 years. Scope is difficult. Yeah, it would be really neat to see a game. I think it'd be really colorful visually. I think it'd be really fun. Yeah, yeah. Scope is tough. Um, this game started out with just my own kind of professional experience where I used to work in the middle of a massive ruin, and I used to walk through that area, and I knew where all the pieces kind of fit. I mean, I didn't know where every piece fit, but I could tell. Yeah, and I was like, well, what if all the pieces went back together? That'd be a fun game. And now it's like years later, and here we are with a rainbow colored ruined building now. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. I mean, that's where this game came from. But you're right. I mean, when I was in college, I was and just still thought I'd be writing novels. Um, yeah, I had like the entire Wheel of Time series in my head as like, yeah, I'll do that as a starter and then build from there. Like I'll do something like that, which is quite silly. So I thought this was a really nicely defined scoped game. No Wheel of Time sort of stuff here. And now, of course, it's all about time. So yeah, that's how stuff creeps on. Yeah, yeah. Maybe everybody's like that. Maybe that's what creativity does. You have big visions, you don't realize how big they are. Okay, here comes the big moment. it's it is really, yeah. Boy, once the ideas start flowing, you're like, well, then we could do this and we could do that, and yeah, and then it becomes impossible. Yeah, that man, I totally agree with what you're saying there as well. Um, you just think these ideas are great. I've got to use them, and then when they start to not quite fit, or you're like, actually, this increases the scope too much. It hurts a little bit. Hurts a little bit to acknowledge that and say, okay, let's pull back and leave these ideas to one side. I was just talking about painful ideas that are painful not to use. Is I had this idea for this third act twist in this game, and that probably shouldn't happen because it makes things more complicated and it's actually difficult to express to the player. And so it's one of those ideas that I'm like, I probably just need to put that one aside for now, but it kind of hurts. Okay. Um, I've managed to break this thing up now. That's exciting. Yeah. So I've managed to actually make some progress on this model and broken it into a million little tiny pieces, which is what I wanted to do. great ideas that are too difficult to communicate, Chris. That's such a good point. Um, I actually on Wednesday night, uh, right, breaking stuff. Well, that's the fun part. Putting it back together is also fun, actually. This one will be great because it's all done with a shader, so I don't have to do much more now to get this working in the game. But I was just saying that on Wednesday night, I had the first ever build of this game, and on Wednesday night there was a really small meetup of Colorado game devs online, and which has been great. It's only the third time I've gone, but I gave them the build, and it was the first time anybody had ever kind of, other than me, had kind of played this at all. And it was really fascinating to see actually how difficult it is to communicate things, which I think are, because I'm working on this, I think it's pretty simple. And it was really fascinating to just watch them play. Yeah, it was really cool. It really was. But it was really interesting to see where I need to actually like slow it down and be more explicit. Um, there's just so many interesting things. It was a really, really good experience, actually, which is nice. So that's a good thing. Yeah, thank you. Well, Chris, it's approaching 7:45 for me. It's only 6:45 for you, but I think I've probably got to go and finish up and get ready for work and say hi to the family that's awake now. And I've managed to break this piece of geometry up, so I feel like I made some progress today, which is great. And it's been awesome to chat with you. So it's good to see that this laptop setup is functional. It's not easy, but it's functional, so that's great too. Um, so I think I'm gonna have to go in now and get my own breakfast. So um, let's chat. Let's message over on Twitter and set up a time actually, and for some board game fun, which would be a really cool thing to do as well. I'd love it. So I'm gonna sign off for now. And I'm really glad you're able to tune in, and thank you for saying hello, because sometimes I lose sight of the chat and then miss folks. All right. Thank you, Chris. And I will talk to you later. Now, if I can just figure out how to make this turn off. All right. See you. Enjoy your breakfast and the rest of your morning. Bye.